There's a lady who's sure all that glitters is gold, and she's buying a stairway to heaven. When she gets there, she knows if the stores are all closed, with a word she can get what she came for. She's buying a stairway to heaven.
Who would do this? Who would ruin a perfectly good song like Stairway to Heaven? Maybe someone who's really super sick of this song being played the regular way, or someone who just wants to show you how you could take your own songs, no matter how ingrained the current chords are in that song, how you can take those chords and change them up and create your own unique thing. So first, here's the non-messed up version. This is just the melody with pretty much the original chords.
There's a lady who's sure all of that glitters is gold, and she's buying a stairway to heaven. When she gets there, she knows if the stores are all closed, with a word she can get what she came for. She's buying a stairway to heaven.
So that's the idea. I know it's not the whole thing. We just want to take a snippet of it to come up with some ideas for some chords we could change around. This is going to be an interesting one to do because the bass line has a lot to do with the chords. In fact, arguably there are some other chords that you could call these. You could call this an A to an E7 or over a G sharp, or a G sharp diminished, or yeah, a lot of things. Yeah, but and then this one right here, like you could call it a G, or we could call it was an A minor over G. And then this one right here, you could call it like an F sharp diminish or a G flat diminish. So there's a lot of different options, but what kind of makes this song is this bass line. It just kind of stays, this bass line stays in one general area, which if you've watched many of the reharm videos, you know that that's kind of what we're going for in a lot of the reharmonization stuff, is just stuff that flows nicely together. If you can't do it in the harmonies, at least have it be in the bass line. So this thing already is at where we would normally go for a song. We would take some other song and turn it into... But we're already there. So now we got to break that and turn it into something else. It's going to be kind of unique to reharmonize because like this chord, like that's not really a thing. Unless it's in the context of a bass line that's moving on down. So this whole big glob of chords up here is really just A minor to D. So probably the first thing I want to do when I reharmonize this song in particular is just get rid of all of this and just treat this whole thing like an A minor, because the only reason that works is because that whole cluster. If we just reharmonize, if we just substitute out one of those chords, it's going to sound really, really, really weird. And there's no substitution for an A minor over G sharp. But there's a substitution for A minor. So we're just going to treat that whole thing like an A minor and kind of get rid of some of this bass movement so that we can do some other stuff. So I'm just going to get rid of those two chords. This one right here, D over F sharp, maybe so that we can start substituting this stuff. The reason the F sharp is cool there is because the bass line's just been moving. If the bass line hasn't just been moving, it's not really significant that would be an F sharp. So that right off the bat, this is really, really super common. This is not just Stairway to Heaven. This is like hundreds of thousands of songs that do like this A minor thing or any minor chord with the root that moves down. So much so that like it's its own genre. Like that's all over. That's like what 40% of Afro-Cuban music, and a lot of Brazilian music, and then tons of other stuff too. So this is not unique to Stairway to Heaven by any means. Really, Stairway to Heaven is A minor to D major to F major 7. They have that E in there. To G. Anyway, so we just take those chords and we try to reharmonize those and don't pay attention to all the chromaticisms that are happening. We got to rip those out in order to turn this into something different. Otherwise, it will end up just sounding the same. Then what we come up with is this. Probably less interesting, but easier to reharmonize and more versatile, more useful.
There's a lady who's sure all that glitters is gold, and she's buying a stairway to heaven. When she gets there, she knows if the stores are all closed, with a word she can get what she came for. She's buying a stairway to heaven.
Okay, so I know it's really creepy and weird, and if you know this song really well, it feels really awkward to not have that moving bass line. But trust me, you'll be glad once we go to learnpianolive.com/reharm. Then we're gonna spin this wheel here that is based on chords. We're just gonna take a look at the chords. We're not gonna look at the melody or the bass lines for any of this stuff. Harmonic generalization. So in general, this thing is kind of in the key of A minor. So chords that we could use in the key of A minor would be like A minor, B diminished, C, D minor, E major or minor, F major 7 in this case, because they have used that chord several times throughout the song, but an F chord, and then a G chord. Anyway, so if I just kind of pick random chords from here, I could go like D minor, A minor, I guess that's already in there, F major 7 to C, to over here like a D minor, and I've been using a lot of D minor. So we'll go F major 7. Go E minor right here. I'm not picking these on purpose. I'm just kind of putting them in randomly. And then over here, those are some weird chords. That D is a borrowed chord. So we're in the key of A minor. But A minor, the key of A minor would have a D minor in it. But the key of A major would have a D major in it. So they're both the key of A, but one is A major and one is A minor. So then a borrowed chord is just where you keep the same root, but you pick the other scale, the other key, and you just steal chords out of that. So this A minor would normally go to D minor, but in this case, we went to D major because that's also in the key of A. And some people might feel like, well, now you're just rationalizing a random chord that you put in. That might be true, but I think that's a lot of what music theory is. That's kind of like the point of the thing, is to describe what we find out in the world. And what we find out in the world is that the key of, when you're in the key of A minor, you end up using a lot of the chords from A major and vice versa. And so that's the thing. So whether you want to see that as us just trying to rationalize the chords that you'd use that just sound cool, because like, don't mess with it, man. It just sounds good. Just put the D in there because it sounds good. Or whether you want to see, oh, it sounds good because that's borrowed from the other key. I'm not sure which came first. So then this is harmonic generalization. We haven't actually played this yet. I'm afraid this is going to sound terrible. Let's find out.
There's a lady who's sure all that glitters is gold, and she's buying a stairway to heaven.
I don't even see it all.
When she gets there, she knows if the stores are all closed, with a word she can get what she came for. she's buying a stairway to heaven.
Okay, yeah, a lot of that is not terrible. And that's, again, just kind of picking random chords from inside of the key. A lot of it feels like it doesn't really have any purpose, which is kind of the point of a good reharmonization, is that it gives some new path. It's got the same melody, and it creates some new story, and it's not just other new random chords. But I guess for a lot of people who are listening, that was weird. It's not like the original, and so that would count as a reharmonization. But we're not done, because we also need to exchange relative majors and minors. So this can be found in this chart down here. The relatives are the 1s and the 6s. So for all of these 1s here, these major chords, there is a 6 chord that's related to it, and vice versa. So A minors and C majors can be swapped for each other, or D majors and B minors can be swapped for each other, or anywhere in there that you wanted to do that. So if we come back up here and pick some random ones to swap out, I want to not change the first chord, because I at least want that to feel a little bit like home when you first get into the song, to not be smacked with something new and weird, but to kind of lure everybody in. Oh yeah, we're doing Stairway to Heaven. No, this is different. It would be kind of cool. So the D minor could be swapped with an F. I don't think I'm going to like the way that it sounds, but whatever. The goal is not for this to sound good at the end. The goal is for us to understand what tools could possibly be used here. This F major 7 could be like a D minor. Yeah, I'm taking all the fun out of this thing. Not on purpose. We've got, let's do something down here. Let's take out this D minor and put in a B minor instead, because we hadn't done anything with any of those Ds yet. And we could change out this, man, I don't know, this F and put in a D minor. Yeah. Okay. That'll be interesting. I don't know if it'll sound good or not, but we just swapped out a lot of those things from the chart kind of randomly.
There's a lady who's sure all that glitters is gold, and she's buying a stairway to heaven.
I like the D minor thing.
When she gets there, she knows if the stores are all closed, with a word she can get what she came for.
I don't like that one at all. I do like that one.
She's buying a stairway to heaven.
All right, so there are some ideas. Let's maybe do one more of these. 2/5 tritone substitutions. Of course. Say, we'll do one more real quick. All right, here's the hardest one. We would have to have tritone substitutions in here in order to 2/5 the tritone substitutions, which means I think that we have to do that. So let's do a tritone substitution. That means anywhere we have a dominant chord. And of course, we don't have any dominant chords. So we're going to end up doing like 4 steps in order to get this one in. We might not get to the other parts, the melody and the bass line for this, but we'll see. We need somewhere in here where we've got a dominant chord. I guess right here would be the closest. Well, no, we should have an E major. Anybody? No? In the key of A? No dominant chords? That stinks. Okay. So we'll just throw one in here. We're going to get rid of this G. I'm just looking at this as my goal. I'm not really picking this on purpose, except that this is the end of a line. And so at the end of a line, you're going to have hopefully some kind of rest. If we play through this thing, when we get to heaven, there's a little pause there. You can tell that also from this rest that exists right there, that this is kind of a resting point for the song. And so this will be a nice place to do a transition that lands somewhere on purpose. So you can feel that.
There's a lady who's sure all that glitters is gold, and she's buying a stairway to heaven.
Right there. That's the rest that we're looking for. The not literal rest, but the feeling of rest there. So in order to get into that A, we're going to go to the 5 of A, which you can use these chords down here. 2-5 tritone substitutions. You jerk of a wheel. Okay, so here's our A minor chord right here, and the thing that would lead into an A is that E, because that's the way the circle of fifths works. So this chord leads into this one. This chord leads into that one. A D leads to a G leads to a C, because the G is a 5 of a C, and a C is a 5 of an F, and an F is a 5 of B flat, and so on and so forth. That's why it's called the circle of fifths, because these are all 5s of the next thing. That's one of the reasons. I know there's another reason to it. It's also called the circle of fourths. I'm aware of this. All right. I'm not going to read your comments or your emails. So the A minor, we can lead into the A minor using an E7 chord in the same way that we could lead into an E7 chord with a B7 if we wanted to. We go B7, E7, A minor. Don't believe me? Then why are you watching this video? So I'm going to take out this C right here just so we have a little more time to throw things in here. We're going to go B7 to E7 to A minor. Yep, and yep, I just said we could do that. I want to be into something else.
There's a lady who's sure all that glitters is gold, and she's buying a stairway to heaven.
That's kind of fun.
When she gets there, she knows.
Yeah, I really want to swing it out now. There's a lady. So that is something that we could do there. We have a B7 into an E7 into an A. All right, but for right now, we're just going to deal with the E7 because we have to tritone substitute this thing so we can do this stupid thing of 2-5ing the tritone substitutions. So we've got an E7. We want to do a tritone substitution for the E. There's a couple ways of doing that. One way you could do that is don't change the page, but just scroll down to the bottom. And you can just go straight across the abyss of the circle of fifths, and this will always get you to a tritone if you just go directly across. I'm on an E, and instead I can throw in a B flat. Now, if you don't have the circle of fifths or you don't have it memorized, then you can just go 6 half steps in either direction from any note, and you will land on the tritone. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Whether you go up or down, 6 half steps is going to get you to the B flat. That's because 6 half steps is 3 whole steps. 6 half steps is 3 whole steps. So if we go up 3 whole steps, 1, 2, 3, we land on a B flat. If we go down 1, 2, 3 whole steps, we land on a B flat. Thus, the reason it's called a tritone. 3 tone, whole step, 3 tones, 3 whole steps away in either direction. Okay, so we're just going to put in the B flat for reasons we're not going to get into right now, but you can do this. You can just, instead of playing an E, just straight up play a B flat 7 instead of an E7 here, and it won't sound the same, but in most cases, in a lot of cases, in some cases, in several cases, it works reasonably well. Let's see if this is one of those cases.
There's a lady who's sure all that glitters is gold, and she's buying a stairway to heaven.
Not bad. So when I first play it, it's like, oh no, he hit a wrong note, and then I land on the last one. Oh yeah, that kind of works. Okay, time to 2-5 this bad boy, which is that we're just going to treat this chord B flat 7 like it is a 5 chord, and we're going to play the 2 of it. Again, this chart down here, if you don't have your 2-5s memorized, then that's all right. We'll help you out here. So the question is, where in the world is a B flat a 5? So these are our 5 chords, and here's our chart. The B flat shows up in the key of E flat, and the 2 in the key of E flat is F minor. So the F minor is the 2, if B flat is the 5. Cool, I think you got it. So F minor to B flat. We're going to treat the B flat like it's a 5. It is our tritone substitute for that E7 that we threw in because it was a dominant chord using the circle of fifths. We found out we could do that. Too many steps. F minor to B flat 7. No, we'll go with F minor 7. Yeah, let's see if that works.
There's a lady who's sure all that glitters is gold, and she's buying a stairway to heaven.
I kind of like it, actually.
When she gets there, she knows if the stores are all closed, with a word she can get what she came for. She's buying a stairway to heaven.
Okay, cool. So then I think this is the point where we say, all right, we've done a lot of this stuff. We went through more concepts than we were supposed to. We did tritone substitutes, 2 5s, the circle of fifths. We talked about the diatonic chords, which are just the chords that go according to the scale, which is in this chart right over here. We talked about how to 2-5 something and how to just add 5s in. That's a whole lot. Now I think it's time for us to just make this sound good. Now you're going to complain about the melody-based reharmonization. Okay, so let's talk real quick about melody-based reharmonization, and we can change the chord quality where the melody is not on the 3. Okay, so this just means taking a major chord and making it minor, or taking a minor chord and making it major, as long as what you're doing there is, if you take a C major and you turn it into a C minor, you're changing the 3 of the chord, the 1, the 3, and the 5 chord. You're changing the 3. So you got to make sure that when you do this, you're not changing it on a chord where someone is singing this note. If they're singing an E and it's supposed to be a C chord, you can't just go changing that to a C minor, because they're going to have to sing this note and it's going to sound like that. Or vice versa. If it's a C minor chord and they're singing this note, you can't just go changing it to a C major, because you got to take into consideration what the person has to sing. So we're going to take any major chord and turn it into a minor, or minor chord and turn it into a major, as long as the melody is not on the 3, which is really what they did over here on all their D majors. For example, down here, D minor is what you should have played if you were going according to the key of A minor. But since the melody is in A, they just went, well, let's just flip that D minor into a D major, and the singer won't care because the singer's not singing the F of the D chord. So it'll be allowed, and then that chord kind of stands out. It's like, oh, that's really cool and unique, and it didn't sound terrible because the singer didn't have to sing the 3 of the chord. Okay, so now we're just going to do that somewhere else. We could do it with this one, maybe. No, because the melody is messing with us there. There's not much left that we haven't really messed with. I could turn like this D minor into a D major. That's not going to sound particularly amazing in this song because there's already Ds all over the place, so it doesn't sound weird or unique. I can't do it right here. I can't turn that A minor into an A major because the melody is that C right there. So that's not allowed. I could almost do it right here. The melody is a C and I'm on an F chord, but the melody quickly goes to this A right here, which is the 3 of the chord. I'm afraid that's going to end up sounding kind of funky. So in this particular case, we're having a hard time finding one that's weird. I could do this one right here. This would totally work, except that if I turn that into a D major, the chord that we're coming from is a D major. So that just means not changing the chord. Surely there's one in here. Right here, we could almost do it on the C, but then the melody goes to that E right there. So that's going to be ooh, ooh, ooh. So that's going to be weird. Right here, we could, man, I'm not going to like this at all. We could turn this A minor into an A major. Just to show you how this works, there's the A minor has a C in it, A major has a C sharp in it, but we're not dealing with an A. well, I'm sorry, a C or a C sharp until we get to this one right here. And by the time we hit the C, we're switching chords. So yeah, we'll put that one in as an A. I'm going to hate this so much, but at least you'll get the idea of how it could possibly work, or at least what you need to take into consideration.
There's a lady who's sure all that glitters is gold, and she's buying a stairway to heaven. When she gets there, she knows if the stores are all closed, with a word she can get what she came for. Ooh, she's buying a stairway to heaven.
Yeah, all right. I hated it as much as I thought I would. So I think it's officially now time for us to talk about what I would change. So this is not based, this is not random. I'm actually going to try to take this really messed up thing and turn it into something that I might consider playing, or that does not offend me too terribly. So there's a lady who's sure. That works. All that glitters is gold. Lady who's sure. Oh, the glitter. I don't think I mind that first line. As you buy a stairway to heaven, when she gets, I think I want to keep this one. I'm going to take this D out here. It doesn't really lead anywhere. In fact, it leads absolutely nowhere, because the next chord that we want to change to is this D right here. So I'd rather keep this as an A minor and just kind of start the thing over again. Just use what we used up top. Ba 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 bum, F sharp major. So we have some kind of repetition here. Ba 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 ba. I like that E minor. Da-dum. We could change this one. Why didn't we do this one? It was sitting there the whole time for us. Right here. If we wanted to do something really weird, we could go change that into an A major right there. Ooh. I miss this D a lot, so I'm going to take this B minor out. I don't like the way that... It just doesn't do anything for me. Turning back that into a minor. I do like how that D major went into a D minor, which I know isn't much of a change if you're thinking, well, it's basically the same thing as the F was. Yeah, but maybe that's why I like it. Maybe it just sounds pretty. Buying a stairway to heaven. Now, I would normally do something really funky in here to lead into this chord. If this chord was going to be like an A minor, we might try to do some cool tritone substitutions or chromaticisms or something like that. But because this last word, the last chord that we land on is kind of an odd chord for the key anyway, then I think I want to just leave everything before it normal, so that it's just not... You don't want a bunch of crazy... I don't want a bunch... This is what about me... doing what I want on this song at this point. I don't want a whole bunch of just random crazy chords all the way through, and I can't really follow the thread at all. I want something that's kind of predictable and then a little twist, and then something that's predictable and then a little twist. If the whole thing is twists, then there's no thread that you can follow, that I can follow. I don't know. Maybe you like it with weird random chords. So I think this one, I didn't have to change a whole lot of stuff in it. We do have that one. That one, that kind of stands out among the rest. Maybe we didn't change enough in the song. I feel like we probably didn't change enough in the song, especially in the second half. But we did change up the da 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 ba da ba da ba da da da. That beginning thing, the fact that we don't have that chromaticism, I think that's different enough. Maybe, I don't know.
There's a lady who's sure all that glitters is gold, and she's buying a stairway to heaven. When she gets there, she knows If the stores are all closed, with a word she can get what she came for. Ooh, she's buying a stairway to heaven.
Yeah, I'm afraid we didn't change enough in it. I did throw in an E right here, which is something that shows up on our wheel, that on longer chords, you can go from the whatever chord you're on to the 5 of it, just to take up time. So having just this A minor C here for the whole time, and for the next chord to also be an A minor is just a lot of A minor. So I just went to the 5 of it real quick and back to the A minor. And I don't think I changed much else. Man, maybe it's just a really pretty song.
There's a lady who's sure all that glitters is gold, and she's buying a stairway to heaven. There's a lady who's sure all that glitters is gold, and she's buying a stairway to heaven. When she gets there, she knows if the stores are all closed, with a word she can get what she came for. Ooh, she's buying a stairway to heaven.
I like it. I think it's pretty. Maybe I just ended up in the same place I started, which is, why would you mess with a perfectly good song? It sounds good. It sounds pretty. This thing right here, I might get rid of this G. Because that's such a thing in the original. This wouldn't be a problem if people didn't know the song. We could go. That would be different enough. But the fact that this is like anticipated in people's ears by that thing, it takes a second for my C sharp to stand out. Like, no, I didn't do what you expected me to do. I did something different. So I might just go straight to that one and try to emphasize that note on that A, which you came for. We could maybe find, let's do this. Let's find a chord. No, let's go to the end. That sounds really bad. That's not different at all. Let's do that. So right here, it doesn't violate any of the rules of this. There we go. Of our key or the melody, to put in an E7 here, which is just the 5 of A minor. This is the chord itself isn't special. I'm trying to put something else in here, not because this sounds better, but just because the other one sounds too much like the original, and I'm just ending up with a non-reharmonization. I'm turning all the dials and changing everything around, and I'm just ending up with what we started with in the beginning. So right here we can keep that same melody and put an E7 in there just to be different, and then buying a stairway to heaven. Something that has these notes in it that's not C. Nope. The D is weird enough when it comes in that I can't really lead into it very well. It's I think best coming out of the blue, and the bluest thing I can do. Buying a just playing boring chords from the key of C or A minor. Buying a stairway to heaven. I think that's where I'm gonna end up with. Okay, so this is the version that I'll settle for, I guess.
There's a lady who's sure all that glitters is gold, and she's buying a stairway to heaven. When she gets there, she knows If the stores are all closed, with a word she can get what she came for. Ooh, she's buying a stairway to heaven.
I like that A that we changed a lot. And the other thing I'll change is right here. This is the same thing we did at the beginning, where we substitute out the ones for the sixes, sixes for the ones, the relative major and minor substitutions. So I'll change this major into a minor so we can accommodate the melody. And this one I'll change into a D minor just to be different. Okay. So.
There's a lady who's sure all that glitters is gold, and she's buying a stairway to heaven. When she gets there, she knows if the stores are all closed, with a word she can get what she came for. She's buying a stairway to heaven.
I don't think it's better, but it's different. And the goal of this lesson was for you to find one or two things that you're like, hey, I don't like how we did it there, but I understand how that concept works. Let me try that on my own song. And if you got a couple of those, then cool. Send me a video of you using some of these concepts in your own music, or if none of that seemed useful at all, then go watch another video. I'm sure we did something better somewhere else. But anyway, whatever the case is, good luck, have fun, I love you.